theme, but okay.
All right. Got the whole panel. All right. Rally round guests, ladies and gentlemen, everyone. And I still have a few hanging backstage as well as people drop off panel or get booted from panel. We will, continue to rotate them in and out. I will establish some rules for the evening. You cannot boot off Mrs. Wilson, Mr. Marte, Mr. Soypill, or Mr. Ryan. I will also add in another veto for Andrew since he is also dual streaming and is a kind friend of the channel. Anyone else, shots can be fired. You can boot, do all you want. Otherwise, I leave the floor open if somebody wants to start with a question.
Cool. Hey, can we start with by asking how much is a panel kick?
It's per minute. So starts at $5, 5 minutes.
Okay, cool.
100 is a full boot for the night.
Oh, 100? Okay, I'll send 200 to you right now. Kick, soy pill, and radical coder.
You can't.
Yes!
Nice try.
Okay, 300. I'll send you 300 right now. Kick them both.
It's their show, though. They're here for the show.
This is not
You just destroyed.
Andrew,
you could have made $300 fucking dollars in
I'll
1
send you
minute. In 1 minute.
$100.
Terrible. This is why women
Andrew
shouldn't
right
have
now.
fucking businesses, dude. Look at how they run their fucking businesses.
But I would
That didn't even
lose.
work.
I would lose more panelists in the future for future open.
I'm sorry,
panel.
Brian. Brian, did I say something absolutely fucking hilarious that obviously lightened the mood for everybody, and now you're seething about it because that's what you do?
seem a little upset, dude. Look,
I
Sarah's,
don't know.
Sarah, he's
I don't
not
know.
even
He
doing
seems
anything
a little
now, right?
seething. No, I mean, could you ever look
I'm
up that
freaking out.
stupid propeller hat? I don't know.
You think
I don't
I
know.
wear this?
Yeah,
to look
we're
cool?
seething.
I don't know. But I mean, you guys objectively got your asses stomped in that debate. Why did you take the debate
Watch this.
without reading the
Watch this. Look
prompt
at this.
anyway?
Look at that.
Oh wow, gee, you got me with that one. You opened an already open jar. Ooh, whoa, you got me with that.
A twisty one, even.
Yeah.
It is a
Twist
twisty one.
Yeah. When I'll just have to remember that when I'm moving into my new mansion, all about how you open that jar. You're fucking awesome. So, hey,
But
hey, hang on, but just
you're recreating.
but hang on, just real quick. I'm honestly curious. Why the fuck did you guys accept this debate? Why did you do that?
Oh, I honestly thought it was going to be a conversation about pro or anti-death penalty. I didn't think we'd be talking about, hey, if I threaten you with death, will you not do a thing? Because it's so obvious. It would be like, I couldn't believe someone would genuinely think that was the idea of the debate, but I guess it is. So.
Yeah, and I took it because all the research I did seems to affirm my position that there's no evidence that it is an effective deterrent for crime, and I think that's been shown over and over, and no one made a case that it was, or no, not a convincing one at least. So maybe Andrew's here to do that to back them up, but
I just don't understand. Like it was obvious that they demonstrated it's a deterrent over and over again. You guys conceded that. It's just bizarre to me that you even took it.
Can you walk us through how exactly?
Because, as Soy Pill stated, if you're gonna die by doing thing, you don't do the thing. Therefore, it deters the thing. Pretty easy, Ryan. Can you follow that logic?
That follows for like castle doctrine and
that follows for like everything.
Right.
Are you okay, Brian? Let's just walk it through logically.
Well,
would you be more or less likely to do a thing if you were gonna fucking die?
I think I'd be equally less likely to do it if I was going to die or be locked in prison for the rest of my life.
Oh, really? So you think that if it was the case that you'll have a lightning bolt hit you in 20 years, or you'll have a lightning bolt hit you right this second, that you would be just as likely to do the thing as not do the thing?
So the lightning bolt's going to hit me, and I'm going to be locked in a cell for the rest of my life?
No, the lightning bolt hits you either way. No, it has nothing to do with a cell. It's just a lightning bolt.
Die today or die in 20 years.
Yeah, die today or die in 20 years. You're saying that you would equally, both choices would be equally fucking appealing to you, Ryan? Really?
Life in prison and dying.
That's not what I asked you, Ryan. What I asked you is that if you could get hit, with a lightning bolt right now, or get hit with a lightning bolt in 20 years, which thing would you choose?
Andrew, I think
I get to live outside. I get to live my life otherwise, and I would take
no,
the
you're in
bolt 20
prison.
years
That's
from
the
now.
point, Ryan, of the hypothetical. But
Yeah,
for
I
Andrew,
know,
to his
but
point,
he doesn't seem
but
to want to accept
to his
that part.
point, if you look at the societies that don't have the insta kill you, they still have very low rates of crime, and then that's when Rachel brought in the cohesion argument, which is a completely different thing. But like the death penalty seems to not be necessary to have these lower rates of crime, the decline of crime over time. So,
like which culture are you talking about?
like any of the ones I mentioned, like Canada, like Norway, like Ireland, like.
So you're saying that that Canadian crime doesn't decrease due to the fact that there's a death penalty?
Well, Canada, I don't think has a death penalty since what 70 something, 70.
Sure, sure. But if the
But they
crime,
still have decreasing crime.
yeah. Well, they also have a, if I remember correctly, the crime has been decreasing basically everywhere in the West.
Yeah.
Right. Like basically everywhere it's been decreasing.
Right.
What we would have to do is evaluate whether or not it's decreasing more because there's a death penalty or not. And that seems to be that seems to be the trend that we would be following, and it would appear the evidence on our side there. Now, what's really funny about this, I'm not even a death penalty advocate, right? Never have been. Never. Yeah, never. I mean, I'm a Christian. I want to reform people. I think it's better to lock them in a fucking cell for 30 years and try to reform them, right? That's my ethical purview. But
Andrew,
as the church has stated, there's going to be nations where they implement the death penalty. They're not going to go against it because there are people who are not reformable, and a bullet between the eyes seems to take care of that problem.
In fact, there's some people that are so depraved that allowing them to live and continue to descend further into the depravity and commit more and more sin is actually like worse for their soul, according to the church. So we try to reform people, but there's a line there.
I'm a pro-reformers too, and I honestly do agree that there are people that are so depraved that, like, again, I would argue probably deserve to die. The question is, does this materially help, and does this make society better? And that's what I came here to talk about.
You know what? Let me ask you this, though, Soy. You know who? Not Jeffrey Dahmer. Who was the other fucking Ted Bundy?
Ted Bundy.
Yeah. He was pulled over by a cop. I was reading a book where they got the cop's account, and the cop let him go because he was charismatic and this and that. Mm-hmm. And he went on the next week. He broke into a little co-ed house and he beat 4 of them to death. Right. And they said, "What's your biggest regret in life?" He said that when I pulled that car over, I didn't pull out my sidearm and shoot this guy while he was in the driver's side. Right. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that is got to be the worst, most torturous thing that's ever happened to a human. Absolutely. To note that they had the power to just end this right then and there. And I would basically hold myself responsible like the cop did, even though I would agree he didn't actually do anything wrong, right?
Right. You would feel guilt the rest of your life.
Of course. But and that's totally reasonable. But what I'm just asking this, isn't it the case, though, that you would prefer to have men like that who would, if they could have the foresight that you're just a really bad guy, you know what I mean? And you just got dropped. Is that really going to make for a worse society? Is that really going to be bad for society ultimately?
Just like had the cop just gotten a vibe, like any cop that gets a bad vibe just kills people. Like
No. But if you're in a society where you can see the depravity of a person based on the patterns of behavior, like Ted Bundy, for instance, right? If they had just taken him outside and shot him in the head, would society really be worse off for that?
Yes, I
don't think it would.
Because you'd have a lot of Ted Bundys as cops.
Wait, hold on, Powder, let me answer. The problem is if we had captured Ted Bundy and we had known and seen this pattern of crime and said, all right, you're going to prison the rest of your life and you can never hurt a human being again, I think it would have
they put him in prison. They were going to put him in prison for the rest of his life. He opened up a window, he escaped, and he killed 4 more co-eds.
All right, well, we should have better prison windows.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is this is my point, right? It's like, that's what they were going to do. It didn't fucking deter him. He went out and killed more people, dude.
He never made it.
With the death penalty, I guess probably wouldn't have deterred him either. He would have
the death penalty would have deterred him because he would have been fucking dead.
No, that wouldn't.
He would have been dead.
Though, right? That's a punishment, and we're killing him. We're taking him out, right? So, in the same way that if this had been an effective life imprisonment, that wouldn't have deterred him. It would have just prevented him from harming any more people, right? And also,
which was the goal. That's the goal, right?
Exactly right. And I think that you can lock people up for the rest of their life and probably stop them from ever hurting anyone again.
Except they escape and kill people.
What about torture?
And I think that's or they murder more people than inmates.
Yeah, they kill people. Yeah, they kill people in prisons. They grape the prison guards because you guys want to have co-ed prisons, right? Leftists want to have co-ed prisons.
I don't want that.
Yeah, you do. You don't care if there's female prison guards. You don't give a shit.
No, I truly do. You don't have to project that onto me.
Yeah, come on, you do. So you don't think women should be allowed to work in prisons?
Not in prisons where the people that are in the prison are going to be stronger than them on average.
Fucking base. So you're not for this gender equality shit. Love it.
If that's gender equality, I guess not. But I think that they should have the opportunity to have those jobs if they don't.
Well, then what the fuck are you talking about? They want the opportunity to have those jobs, but I don't want them in those jobs. Okay, genius, big brain take there, bro.
Perform the jobs. I don't think they should fucking do it. And most women can't, unfortunately, wrestle a fucking grown man to the ground. So yeah, they shouldn't be prison guards in men prisons.
Yeah. So then, why even give them the opportunity to? It's just a terrible fucking idea.
If one of them can, they should be able to do it. Absolutely.
Yeah, but you see what I mean? It's like you talk out of both sides of your mouth. You're like, no, they shouldn't be able to do it unless they can do it, and then they should be able to.
Look, not a single woman has become a Navy SEAL, right? But if somehow she was able to pass all those things, do I think she should be able to? Yeah. Why would?
Why? It's still a terrible idea. Like even in the prison guard example, let's say she could. Who cares?
Actually, no, hold on. There's an argument against co-ed units and how it actually does diminish the.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing.
Okay, for sure.
But hang on. But it's the same thing in prisons. It's still going to be a terrible idea. And it's not only that, they always lower the fucking standards, dude. They always have to lower the standards for these.
If they do
people.
have to lower the standards, I don't agree with it. That's my opinion.
But even if they didn't, it still would be a terrible idea to have female prison guards in prison. It still would be a terrible idea.
There's also a good argument there to how it's going to make them want to rape more. So there's a fair argument there too.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, like, when I look at this, right, it seems to me like you guys kind of talk out of both sides of your mouth. You understand it's super effective. You get that the death penalty is super effective. Your issue is just in being able to cleanly implement it. But it is ultimately a deterrent. I don't even think that is what's in question. It's just what the efficacy of the deterrent is.
In a vacuum, it's a deterrent. Relatively, it's not a deterrent.
I don't think anybody's demonstrated that it's a deterrent.
I mean,
okay, well, Brian,
Ryan would rather get death than life.
I think their best argument.
Oh my God, that's so terrible.
We have demonstrated that it's a deterrent. You even conceded this, Soy Pill.
Yeah, that one. I think that is a very.
Well, can I ask then? Can I ask a question to the panel? Would we want to live in a society necessarily where we're always walking on eggshells per se?
Yeah,
if everything's to an extreme deterrent as such.
Well, Ryan, let me just ask you this, okay? You're a crook. You've got three houses.
I am not.
You got 3 houses to break into, right?
Andrew, is he a crook?
Yeah, he's a crook. So anyway, he has got 3 different houses to break into, right? The first one has a woman who lives by herself. The second one, it's a husband and a wife. The third one's a husband and a wife, and they both have guns. So you, like most crooks, you case the joint. You realize, this is a situation, all 3 houses. Which one would you be the most likely to break into?
So it sounds like you're again conflating. I've said over and over that I think castle doctrine and
can you answer the question though?
I'll get to it. Why don't you calm down, both of you? I've said over and over that I don't
care about speech, Ryan. Can you just answer the fucking question, bro?
Well, I will. You don't have to care about the speech. I'm one of the.
If you can answer the question, then give the qualifier, Ryan. That's the right way to do it.
Well, I don't have to do it that way. I'm
oh my God, you're such a dude. You're such a woman about this shit. Just answer the.
How about just return based on?
It wouldn't have taken this long if you would have just let me answer it, like instead of interrupting 5 times. But what I was saying is that I've said over and over that I support castle doctrine laws, I support self-defense laws, and so I think I would be more deterred from going into the house that is likely to shoot me. Right?
Why?
Because I'm gonna get killed instantly.
Right. So then, would that be akin to a penalty of death?
Well, no, because that's not how the death penalty works.
Well, no, it is listen. Is that a penalty that has happened to you for your actions that results in your fucking death?
Yeah, you're just equivocating between.
No, that's not equivocation.
The reason,
it is.
Not wrong.
No, it's not equivocation.
Ryan, would you rather die immediately or get tortured for the rest of your life?
No, it's like, yeah, exactly. It's like
die immediately.
Walk or jump out of a plane without a parachute. It's like, oh, well, obviously you don't want to do one of these things. This thing is worse. It's like, yeah, but the problem is you have to show me that it is better if every single person does this. If every single person is threatened by.
Why would I have to show you it's better that everybody does it?
The point is, are you able to show that the death penalty is such an effective deterrent that we should be implementing?
You just did. It's just logically follows that if you're afraid to die, right, when you take X action, in this case the crime, which is breaking into somebody's house, that the penalty of death is clearly the deterrent here.
Right. So, Andrew, let's break it to the absurd example. Like, if you stole a candy bar and punishable by death, would fewer people steal candy bars? Obviously,
yes.
Right? You would agree. Yeah. Obviously, this is obvious. The question is, in a society, if we started to implement this, what happens, right?
Let me tell you, I have the perfect society to point to.
Be, murdered because it's like, hey, that guy.
Yeah, actually, hang on. I have the perfect society that I can point to.
Sure.
Have you ever heard of Vlad the Impaler?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Vlad, I just want to point out that there was a very famous letter. I was actually pulling it up during the debate. I remembered it kind of briefly in the back of my head, but I pulled it up, and it was a letter which was going back, I believe it was to a Roman Catholic church from an observer who was there, he was walking down the road, and he noticed that there was gold all over the place, right out in the open. Now, at this time, when you got peasants all over the place, having gold out in the open was like, you never saw that anywhere. ever, unless there was guards all over the place and shit like that. And he said, how's this possible? How do you have such a society where you can have just gold all over the streets? And he said, basically, come here. And they walked him out, and they showed him an entire field full of people who had been fucking impaled. And they impaled him through the ass, and it went all the way through the ass and up through the chest. And guess what? Nobody stole fucking nothing, ever. They didn't steal shit. Now, he said that at least from his perspective, he said that he thought that the society there was actually fairly well adjusted. People were pretty nice to each other, this type of thing. He was just shocked and stunned that you could have gold in the street. It's like, from my view, that doesn't seem that shocking or stunning. Yeah, if you're going to fucking get impaled for stealing shit, you're not going to fucking steal shit. So if you say, what about the death penalty for a Snickers bar? Well, if you're in a person's place of business and you're stealing from them, you're stealing their livelihood, and they blow your fucking head off, I don't give a fuck. Like, I literally don't give a fuck. In fact, I guarantee you that's going to lead overall to less crime.
No,
And,
I agree. If everyone got shot
Yeah.
for stealing a Snickers bar, crime would go down. My question is, first of all, I don't think the punishment for stealing a Snickers bar.
Oh, come on, dude. What about all these like flash robberies? You can make the same argument, right?
Wait. Like, I know people who were like very good people that when they were 12 were like, damn, I want a Snickers bar, I don't have money, and they stole. And that's bad, right? I don't like that. I don't think they should be gunned down in the store, right? And I think that you would agree that these people can at the very least become better people, and I don't want to like be killing everything.
Yeah. So this would be the same thing if like a 10-year-old breaks into your house, right? You make the contention of agency, and I think that that's fine, right? I would even be willing to do that. But if you take a look at what happened in California with flash mobs, I was talking to a gun store owner when I was in California. Now, this is anecdotal, but it follows, okay? I said, why is it that Santa Barbara, California, of all places, most of the people I'm talking to sound like they're way more conservative than liberal? And he was like, actually, in the recent votes, we saw this come up, and here's what happened. Store owners were just sick of having to fucking lock everything up. They were sick of having to lock up fucking everything because these flash mobs would come in, clean them out. They weren't even allowed to do a thing about it. Now, let me ask you this. Is it preferable to have the society where flash mobs can come in and clean your entire business out? Or is it preferable to have a society where they try to do that, you open fire, a couple of them die, and it never fucking happens again?
So in that dichotomy, obviously the second one. However, the reason that's happening now is because of the stupid California laws that say, hey, you can't even pursue someone unless they steal up to X amount of money, which is ridiculous and I think is stupid. And the easy answer is,
so what's the threshold we put a person's life at if it's not 50 cents?
Well, we don't
$10,
we don't have
$200.
We have to threaten them with death to have these things go away. The reason they spiked during that time was because they got rid of those restrictions and cops weren't pursuing them. And as soon as cops start enforcing the law,
Well, I mean, I actually answered my question. It should, if somebody steals $1,000 TV from your business, should you be able to open fire?
If they're in the process of it, I could see a very good argument for it.
Okay, so then the only difference between my view of the Snickers bar and your view of the TV is that you think a person's life is worth $1,000 and I think it's worth 50 cents. So what? Like, so fucking what then? So what?
Someone broke into my house and I don't know what they're going to steal. I don't really have a lot of things worth money. They could steal like a 10-cent cat toy. I'd probably blow them away just because I'm scared for my fucking life. I'm like, get the fuck out of my house. You violated my sanctity. And I said early in this debate, someone stole my bike. I watched it on video. That bike, it was the bike tire even, probably worth $15. I wanted to fucking murder that guy, right?
Yeah, but why is it? Why
live in a society where we kill people?
But bro, here's the thing. Yeah. I mean, you kind of do. Like, if a person breaks into your house and he's going to steal things, and you don't actually feel like your life is threatened, he's just in there cleaning your shit out. He's going to steal your life savings. Maybe you have it in a jar on top of your fridge.
Right. Even
so what?
I'd probably blow him away.
Yeah, of course. And how is that going to make for a worse society?
Why stop there? Why not get in front of it and just snap them all first?
I would disagree that might actually make people better. However, if you can't, you would have to prove that your life was in danger in our current legal system. And I think, unfortunately, there could be some cases, and this might lead to an increase of this, where if you could just kill someone for whatever reason, you could now kill innocent people by saying, oh, actually, he was just in my house and I didn't invite him in, which is why you're not allowed to invite someone in.
Yeah, but what about the fact that, honestly, since most of this stuff is based around that I felt like my life was in danger, right? Come on, like in stand your ground states, they're fucking killing people over property getting stolen, and then they say I felt like my life was in danger when it wasn't. It's an ultimate cop out. You could just remove that. You could just remove that whole stage of it and be like, look, you're trying to jack somebody's shit and you got your ass shot off. And people would be like, "That's right. Don't fucking steal shit. You won't get your ass shot off." It sounds like a way better society to me.
But I don't disagree.
You have to have a trial to determine that's actually what happened.
Blowing them the fuck away, Andrew. If you want to, 100%. Like I would probably blow these people away too.
Yes, exactly. There we go.
And allow
Death
me
penalty.
to interrupt for just a moment, gentlemen, if you don't mind. Vorden with the Big Ten says soy pill due process is innocent until proven guilty, not guilty until proven innocent. You dolt.
Did I say something to the contrary of that?
I think maybe with the example earlier of if they're in your house and so on and so forth. This was right before closing statements. So I think it may be I don't know, due process.
Yeah. Well, if in that specific scenario, again, if it's like even though I think the punishment for stealing out of my house shouldn't be death in and of itself, if I catch you in the act of it and I'm like, hey, motherfucker, like you're in my space. I don't know what the fuck you're here to do. I don't give a shit what you're trying to do. I'm going to kill you. I think that's very different from I'm not there. He gets away with it somehow. And then they catch him later and he has my fucking iPhone or whatever.
Yeah. Well, if they chop their fucking hands off, you think they'd never steal again?
No, probably not.
Yeah, no, probably not.
However, I don't want to live in a world where people who get accused of
I do. You know what, though? I kind of do. I want to live in a society where I know you're a fucking thief because I could just look at you and see that you don't have one of your fucking hands.
Right,
and be like, well, you're probably not very trustworthy, are you? Or,
Andrew,
I would think, if they were like 50, I would think now maybe
if you're accused of being a thief, that you would lose your hands. That sounds a lot more like the society you're arguing for. Just being accused.
No. You could be tried, convicted, and then have your fucking hand cut off. And then after your fucking hand is cut off, we can just be like, hey, look, now you're marked for all of society. We know. We're like, don't do business with that guy. You know why? Because he's a convicted thief, and we know this because he got his fucking hand cut off. Or alternatively,
otherwise become better people, right? Like
they would become better people.
Well, yeah,
I would feel bad for those who are actual
amputees. And won't be able to
amputees.
participate in the same way you or I would, and they're now completely debilitated. Like, I think that someone who steals doesn't deserve to have the rest of their life ruined for it. I think they should be.
All right, how about a couple of fingers? You'll be all right. You'll be all right with a couple of fingers.
Right now for thievery is actually pretty good, except for in
No,
California.
it's not good, dude. It's not good.
We concede. In California, it is fucking bullshit the way they let people get away with it. I actually really am upset today. I went to go buy some fucking skincare bullshit, and they had to fucking press a button and wait for some.
Yeah, and it was all locked up, wasn't it?
Exactly.
Now let me tell you something. One fucking soy jack like you, if you just opened up a business, and then when they came in and they tried to flash mob you out, if you just fucking opened up, you know what I mean, and just did away with these fucks, you know how much you would actually save people in anguish and heartache and everything else because one guy wouldn't put up with it. In fact, there used to be a guy who was there. I think he did watches, and I think he's killed like 6 different people during six different, I don't remember. What's this guy's name? Chat can remind me. But they'd come in to rob him, right? He'd blow their ass away. And then 2 years later, another one coming to rob him, blow their fucking ass away, right? And he was totally unapologetic about it. He'd go on the news and they'd be like,
was from India that beat the shit out of the guy that was trying to steal from him.
Those 2 guys with the brooms, is that what you're talking about?
That is exactly what we need to do.
Well,
that would bring commerce to a screeching
and I know,
halt.
by the way, I know exactly
whoever they wanted in their stores.
I know exactly how much a finger is worth. A finger is worth $10,000, and here's how I know that: because the industry standard in every factory you work in, if you lose a fucking finger, they give you $10,000, right? That seems to be the agreed upon price. So it's like, okay, fucker, you stole it up to $10,000. We're cutting one of your fucking fingers off. That seems totally reasonable to me.
See, that's more reasonable than killing someone for taking a sticker.
The pinky is worth $10,000. The thumb is worth 25.
Yeah, the thumb is worth 25. That's true. You do need your thumb to do manual labor.
This one worth. I want to ask the soy pill. How many steps in your skincare regimen, sir?
How many steps? Oh man, they're very bad. I just got into it. I need to date a beautiful skinned woman because right now I like put some lotion on my face. Maybe sometimes I'll do like a hydrating thing. It's nothing. It's 1 or 2 steps. Well, it's awful. If you have one, Rachel, I'll take it.
Andrew washes his face with the same bar soap he probably washes his balls with, and look at that face. Look at that adorable chin. Look at that cute.
And then Rachel, and then you kiss him after that, and then you
get a thumb. Andrew kind of looks like a thumb right now.
You know.
Look at him, he's gorgeous. No skincare regimen, no multi-step skincare regimen, and look at him.
I'll put you two next to each other. Sorry, Marte. I'm going to put you down to the bottom so she can admire her husband.
You need to throw some hair back. The clean shaven is freaking me out. You
I do agree. I do agree.
Always have the same facial hair.
Make the beard great again. Wrongful rage in with the Big Ten.
No. There was a great joke. Hang on. There was a great joke there. Before you read that super chat, the joke that I made was because I couldn't open that jar. My beard woke me up and said it was moving away. Okay, it said it's done. It said it was done with me. It's packed its fucking bags up and it fucking left until there is redemption for me when I'm in a debate and I don't have to open a fucking greasy jar. So that was the parallel there is that the beard packed itself. It's packed its bags and it left.
The olive hand.
You must have had a really oily hand.
I think
for
I'm gonna write a country
record,
song about it.
For the record, backstage, I still have Duck, I have George, I have Herbert, also known as Wi-Fi Gospel. I have Joe Cool, and I have Hornet, Avoided Hornet, hanging out backstage in that order. If you want to bring them back up, you have to boot somebody in order to do so. Wrongful Rage in with the Big Ten says Vlad impaled his own countrymen around his castle. When the Turks saw it, they retreated.
True.
Yep. And I want to say this, which is like, I'm sympathetic to this argument as someone who has had crimes committed against me. And I'm in California. I see a lot of bullshit. All right. When people do things I don't want, even when people don't put the fucking shopping cart back, I'm like, these people need to be shamed and ostracized. Wait, Daniel, let me finish and I'll let you respond because I actually do like hearing from you. But yeah, like these crimes fucking piss me off. And there is a hypothetical world where if we just killed everyone who like did any sort of transgression against me, it would be a better place for at least me if theoretically no innocent people got hurt in this. And the problem is inevitably you're going to get it wrong sometimes. And I think that one, the crime shouldn't be so, punishable by death when it's something so light, like stealing a Snickers bar, because I do think those people can be better people. But two, you're never going to get this right 100% of the time. And sometimes someone picks up a Snickers bar and they walk past the cash register to get the gum and you fucking blow their head off. And it's like, yeah, I don't want to live in a world where we kill people for that either. However, I think with some of the examples, Andrew, that you're bringing up, like guy in my fucking house, like ruffling through my fucking jewelry store. Yeah, blow them the fuck away. They're very obvious examples. And there's very like, hey, I don't know examples. And that's why I'm happy the justice system says, let's make sure that we're punishing people the right way, even though they get it wrong. I'd rather them get it wrong a little bit than people get it wrong so often, but killing 1 in 8 people.
But hang on, there's one concession there that I kind of need you to make, which is that knowing how it is in California when you got to push a button next to a fucking, next to a thing, right?
If you lived in a and they would open it immediately, I would do that.
Yeah, if it is the case that I can show you like that is not the case in Midwestern states because you have the right.
I'm aware.
Yeah, you have the right to defend your business. Well, you have the right to do that.
Reason, right? Because it didn't used to be this way in California. They didn't have that right. However, they did go after people for these like little misdemeanor like things, and then they stopped. And that's
it's been like that in California since I was a kid.
No, it really
under Gray. Listen. This shit started under Gray Davis, dude. When I was a kid,
I believe that it's happened before, but like as someone who's lived here my whole life, and I'm seeing it escalate specifically in 2020 and onward, like it absolutely is as bad as it is.
Bro, I grew up in Northern California. I was there for years.
I'm in the Bay Area, and
I was in the Bay Area too.
Sorry, Andrew, the Bay Area gets the most crime. All right, we are the highest crime.
Yeah, and listen, it was like that. Not only there, it was like that in Southern California as well, especially around the Morongo Valley, right? The thing is like, look, it has been this way for a long time because in the Midwestern areas where people are armed, they have guns, shotguns in their gas stations, things like that. You don't fuck around because you get your ass shot off. And guess what? When I walk in there to get my fucking skincare shit, I don't got to push a fucking button. I walk in and I say, I'll take that, and I'll take. You know what else is crazy? Like if I go in to get liquor, I just get the liquor. Isn't that wild? Nothing is locked up. Everything is right out on fucking display. It's fantastic. That's a way better society, dude. Way better society. And you know what? The shopkeepers are way more likely to be friendly to you. Right? Everything seems to be, pretty kosher there because they think in their head, if you fuck around in here, I'm going to blow your fucking skull off. And it's like, well, that kind of makes sense, right?
That'd be a good way to set
Well,
up.
I want to say one thing.
Trap to rob people, right?
I need to address this.
You could pop up in a liquor store.
Rate of larceny theft does seem to be higher
Hold
in
on.
places like
Dusty was
Texas,
adding
Vermont,
in
and
a
Kansas.
thought
I
too.
assume you can blow these people away, right? Like,
Wait, what?
these states, I don't know. Like, in states like Kansas, Texas, like these are places with the like top 10 like highest larceny. Per
Yeah, but only in the major metropolitan areas, and usually it's in the high crime minority communities, especially in Kansas. Like Kansas is really big in the. Oh, you just went to the wrong side of the tracks. I remember one time I was in Kansas. I went through on a bus ride, and I was walking from the bus station across the street, right, to I don't remember. It was like to a little restaurant or something. This fucking piece of shit car came flying up, stops next to me. 2 undercover cops like, "Do not cross the street, sir." I was like, "Are you fucking serious?" He said, "Do not cross the street, sir." He's like, "Order food, whatever it is you need to do, stay in that fucking bus depot." I was like, "Okay, man, no problem."
Was it?
So I was
in the cities. Do they still have the like you can blow people away in your store for stealing, or do they not have that rule?
Well, no,
don't
that's
have
the
this.
problem, right? Most of these cities are run by progressives, and they actually make examples of people because what happens is leftist lynch mobs get together, and they're like, "My God, you killed this poor guy who stabbed the dude in the chest 50 times. I can't fucking believe that you did that. Oh my God!" And then they start fucking rioting and causing all sorts of problems. So it's like, no, you can be made an example of by these leftist DAs, these leftist district attorneys inside these major metropolitan areas. It happens constantly. But what's really funny, you go 50 miles outside the major city, and what happens? You can buy whatever the fuck you want. Nothing's locked up. It's a fucking free for all. You don't even have to lock your fucking doors. Why? Because it's like a trap, right? You come in here, it's like a roach motel. You come in, you don't fucking leave. That's how it fucking works, right? You come in, you don't leave. It's like, how is that not preferable, dude?
Well, like I said, in certain cases for thievery, I'm totally sympathetic to blowing people away. I just don't think you should blow everyone away because I think there are plenty of people who steal very small, insignificant things that should be punished, that should be encouraged to stop. However, I don't think they deserve to die for it.
Look, even
listen,
we're not
well,
going
if
for it.
we add up, like even let's say even if it's just a candy bar, right? But everyone around the world goes and steals a candy bar. Like that one little insignificant thing adds up very quickly to where it then like it seems silly, but it
all
adds
of those
up.
people, that adds up more.
But if we killed the first 10, if we
trolley
killed the first
problem was
10,
one innocent little
Being
12-year-old
the
boy,
dynamic,
hold
10
on.
million candy bars, I'd pick the boy to not die.
If we killed the first 10 after they did it, then there probably won't
Well,
be
it's
any
the
more
problem
after that.
is the problem is that here's what the lawyers will argue. They'll be like, if you just the same way that I did with you, if it's $10,000 or 50 cents, why is this a difference on a person's life? And this is what they'll argue in court. You know what I mean? So what happens is you take away people's ability to defend themselves and their businesses, and that's the problem. That's why if you go into a major metropolitan area, right, you walk in and it's fucking everything's behind glass. You can't touch anything, nothing. You will literally 30 miles west, and now you can do whatever you want.
It's not just because of the death, right? Because in California, you'll see this. What they stopped or that they implemented this law, which I think is bullshit, is that the people, the security guards there, or the employees aren't allowed to stop them, and that's sometimes actually because of the private institution that says you're going to cost us more, like liability in a lawsuit than we will from the like 10 cents of the shit. And wait, hold on, let me finish. I think that's fucking stupid. Well,
that's because of the laws in California again, though.
Right, again, and yeah, hold on. I'm giving you ground to the Republican argument here. I think you should be able to beat the shit out of shoplifters, right? I think you should be able to physically stop them. But that's such a far cry away from murdering them on site that I think that also is a deterrent, because people also are like, wait a minute, I don't want that fucking 400-pound security guard next to the metal detector to beat the fuck out of me. And I think he should be able to if you're walking out with a bunch of shit you stole. And if they get it wrong, they're still alive.
Do you know why? Hang on, Soy Pill. Do you know why it was?
I've been very quiet for a while.
Hang on, we're almost done. Then I'll cede the floor, Ryan. I promise.
Shoplifter.
But yeah, let me just say this one thing, and then I'll cede the floor.
If somebody stops a shoplifter,
David, Daniel, hang on.
Yeah, just one thing. I'll cede the floor. So, do you know why it is, Soy Pill, that it used to be in Western towns that bank robberies would brazenly happen in broad fucking daylight? Why that was the case? Why like the James Younger gang and guys like this and Bonnie and Clyde would be able to get out with just so much fucking money? It's because all of that money is insured, right? It was all insured. And the reason it was insured is because banks went to the government and said, we're not going to loan you any more fucking money unless you insure this if it gets stolen, right? We want you to pay for our losses. And the government was like, well, fine, I guess we'll fucking do that, right? Well, the side effect is that the banks instituted a policy where it was like for their employees, if somebody comes in and robs you, who gives a shit? It ain't our fucking money. Don't do anything, right? So these guys were brazenly able to just rob them fucking blind. And so here's what happened. An interesting thing happened, right? Private banks, which began to open out west, right, who couldn't get any of that insurance money from the government. When these fucking gangs would come in, guess what they instructed their security guards to do?
Shoot them.
Blow their fucking asses away. And guess what happened? All of these fucking criminal gangs that were running around, right, started getting their fucking asses shot off, and bank robberies started to go out by the wayside, right? Same thing you'll see when the FBI started going after Bonnie and Clyde and things like this. You started to see a shift in policy for defense, which used to be retreat first, fight later. Then it became stand your ground. Every place stand your ground's put in place, every place where people are allowed to defend their property seems to be a much better fucking place.
Right.
Okay,
so
this
Andrew,
leads
again,
perfectly into what I was going to say, and then I want to let Daniel.
Andrew, again,
respond,
look,
yeah.
it's like, yeah, obviously, if they the option is do absolutely nothing because your stuff is insured, or blow them the fuck away, that's going to reduce the crime. Definitely. The problem is if you do this for shoplifting, and I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but you walk through the metal detector and it beeps because it's like, ah, fuck, like this thing didn't get scanned properly, and then the security guard whips out his gun and blows your fucking head off. Like, I don't want to live in that world. I don't want to live in a world where the mistakes cause people to die. I just want to live in a world where the crime goes down.
Well,
I think there's plenty of ways to do that that don't involve blowing them away.
I'm going to let you go,
But I
Daniel.
will say, obviously,
Hold
if the
on,
punishment
hold on,
for all these
hold
crimes
on.
is death, yeah, the crime's going to go down. This is just like a parent. You're not wrong.
I'm
But
saying
what
one
if
paragraph
the
and then I'm done. And then
security
Daniel, it's
guard-
all 4 years. I promise. I promise.
Go
it's
ahead,
yours.
Ryan.
Hold on, Ryan.
Hold on, Daniel. He's one of the main panelists. It's his floor.
All right.
So I
Go
just wanted
ahead,
to defend
Ryan.
because earlier I accused Andrew of equivocating, and I just wanted to defend this. So I wanted to get my thoughts together, and I did. So using castle doctrine or self-defense laws to prove the death penalty deters crime is equivocation because it confuses two very different types of deterrents.
That's not what equivocation
laws-
He
means.
just said one paragraph and
It
started
is
a whole new
actually.
discussion.
No, it's not.
I'm
Equivocation
saying
is
I'm
using
saying my thing, no, no, you can-
ambiguity
after
in
Daniel-
language.
After Daniel responds, you can go. Okay, you can chill, Andrew. So self-defense
dude.
laws work because they're immediate and certain, while the death penalty is delayed and rare. You can compare them, but you can't treat them as the same kind of deterrent. Go ahead, Daniel.
Flag.
Yeah,
on the
so
flag.
hang on. Since you can't cowardly be like, oh, I'm going to call you out for this, but you can't respond.
I wasn't.
So-
I was actually defending something I said earlier that you.
Yeah, that's
called me out
great,
for,
but
and
here's
I
the
followed
thing,
up.
right?
Let's let Daniel go. And then
It's
you
the
can come
term
back and-
or equivocation means a term or phrase which has multiple meanings. It's using ambiguity of language. You could say that I was making a false comparison or a false dichotomy.
accused me of equivocating.
Dude, can you chill out? No, the opposite
I'm
is
sorry.
true.
No, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
You accused me of equivocation. That
I
means
accused you.
ambiguity in language.
That's what I'm gonna say.
No, that's ambiguity in language. How was I using ambiguity in language?
You are using. Okay, so what you're doing is you're conflating the death penalty with castle.
That's
doctrine.
not equivocation. That would be some other fallacy. That's not that. Okay, read the definition of equivocation, please.
Yeah, let's do it.
Do it.
Equivocation. The use of ambiguous language.
Ryan. Oh, the use of ambiguous language. I didn't use ambiguous.
Using ambiguous
What
language.
language did I use which was ambiguous?
So you're using you're conflating the two terms, right?
No, I wasn't conflating any terms.
Well, you are because you're using the idea of castle doctrine and self-defense laws, and you're using that as the idea.
You can say that that's a false comparison or it's not analogous. You just can't say it's equivocation.
I think I can say it. You might not like it, but
Well, that's because it's you're if you're going to use fallacies, just use them correctly. Is all I'm asking. Just
well,
use
I am.
use
You
the fallacy
disagree,
correctly.
but
There's
that's
no
okay. I
well,
mean,
there's
we
no
disagree on a lot of stuff,
Ryan.
so
There's
it's
no
fine.
there's
We
no
can live with that.
equivocation. You could use some other fallacy. It's just not that
Well,
one.
There is. I think the thing being equivocated are these two different
No,
concepts.
no, no. Like equivocation would be if you're having a trans debate, for instance, and you're talking about sex when you actually mean gender, or gender when you're actually meaning sex, because you know that these have vague meanings. So you're switching between the two. That would be equivocation, right? Me saying that a deterrent of death, right, tends to work, whether it's by the state or not by the state. You could say that that's not analogous, but I'm not equivocating about terms. We know what death means here, right?
I
We
still
both
think you're-
know what
you're
death means,
equivocating
right?
By trying to use the argument that self-defense and castle doctrine laws do deter crime, which I
They
agree
do.
with. You're,
Yeah.
you're equivocating on the death penalty term.
No,
right?
no. What I was doing was drawing an analogy on deterrence itself and death. Not saying that the like term death penalty from the position of the state is gonna equal the same thing. So you could say that's not analogous. You can say that, but you can't say that I'm equivocating. What's the equivocation?
The equivocation is between self-defense laws and.
Well, I'm not using ambiguous language for the demonstration
you?
here.
You are using ambiguous.
Okay, which word are you confused about? Death? Are we confused about death?
Not because I'm confused.
Well, then there's no ambiguity in the language. Then
the ambiguity lies within the way you're using the argument about self-defense laws. Like you're using.
That's not equivocation. That would be something else. False analogy, false dichotomy.
Well,
you could use all sorts of
things. It falls
things.
under the umbrella. But again, this is. I mean, we can disagree on that, but I think it falls under it. You don't. Then I guess at the end of the day,
I'm just pointing this out. Like this will actually be helpful for you in the future. Like equivocation. Equivocation is the most common fallacy used in a debate. Equivocation is the most common.
And there are different kinds of equivocation.
Well, yeah, but that's true. You can equivocate in multiple ways, but it's always under the concept of ambiguous, non-definable language, which is then used to shift back and forth between positions. That's what an equivocation is. What we were doing was giving
was the use of ambiguous language to conceal the truth.
Yeah, so you're switching back. That's exactly right. So you're switching back and forth generally between positions, like you would. If I said,
you're switching back and forth between two different ideas to try to argue for one idea.
No. What language was ambiguous here?
I think that you're using the ambiguity between these two different things.
What language is ambiguous that I'm using?
You're using, so the ambiguity lies in you using the word death penalty, or you implying that death penalty is is described by both of these things. That's where the ambiguity is.
No, there's no ambiguity there, right?
Yes, there is ambiguity.
No. If I'm drawing a parallel between the comparison of death being a deterrent, right? Well, death penalty is using death as a deterrent. So we agree with that, right?
Yes.
Okay, then there's no ambiguity here, Ryan.
Well, I think that I still think it is. I still think it's.
You still think it is anyway, even though I just demonstrated it's not, bro. You don't have to use fallacious. You don't have to use fallacies you don't understand. You don't need to do that.
Andrew, I think the reason it's ambiguous is not just the way it's the way you're describing and saying, look, it is the exact same to punish someone by death when they're in your house and you shoot them as it is to punish someone by death by putting them through the legal system. These things are very not.
That wouldn't be equivocation, though. You could argue that there's some other like false analogy or something, but that's not equivocating. What language is being used which is ambiguous?
By calling them both death penalty or punished by death, right?
No, not if if the comparison is death as a deterrent, the state's going to issue death as a deterrent, or I'm drawing an analogy that death can be used in other ways as deterrence. If you can show me where I'm ambiguous with death, deterrence, anything like that, or using that language ambiguously, that would be equivocation.
One of them is stopping a crime and the other is a punishable thing after 30 years of going through.
That's not no, but the language is not ambiguous there. You would just have an issue with the comparison.
Okay, I guess it's semantics, but I really do think
semantics are super important. That's what equivocation is trying to do away with is semantic understandings, right? So the idea that if you're in a trans debate, for instance, this happens often, where people will equivocate in the ambiguity of the word sex or the ambiguity of the word gender in order to move between sex and gender to make their points. That would be equivocation.
But like vaguely describing killing someone in your house as the death penalty, do you not think that is ambiguous as to what you mean by that when these things are very
No, not if we're talking about it in the context of deterrence of death. It's deterrence of death from you, the person. By the way, we fleshed that entire idea out, and both of you agreed. You both agreed with these ideas that death can be a deterrence inside of the house. Death can be a deterrence from the state. That's the analogy that's being used. If I was using death ambiguously or something like that, that would be equivocation.
Like you're implying that means that the death penalty itself is also a deterrent, but it doesn't follow.
Well, that may not follow, but that still wouldn't be fucking equivocation, bro. Like, don't you get it? Yeah, that's still not equivocation.
I think there's just different kinds of equivocation, and you're focused on one.
I know. There's the kind that is actually true, and then there's the kind that you fucking make up. I know.
Well, I mean,
there's two different types. The kind that there actually is, and then the kind that you fucking make up because you used it and you don't want to double down for reasons nobody understands.
Being a firearm instructor, let's be an English instructor. Let's give everyone the meaning.